All right, Cardinal fans, welcome back to the Red Rain podcast. This is episode 187. And so for the 187th time, I am pleasured to welcome in your host, Walter Mitchell.
Thank you, Kyle Little Rock Ledbetter. And thanks to Sam, who's here with us on a weekly basis. We are going to discuss this just House of Horrors that we saw yesterday in State Farm, which, I think has the Cardinals on the verge of a total collapse, to tell you the truth. I don't think they have the coaching. I think the players know it. And I think that, that they don't have the quarterback. He just is not poised. And did you watch Drake May last night in a whiteout under total duress? I mean, that's the future of the NFL right there. Quarterbacks like that. We don't have a quarterback like that. I mean, to me, the turning point in the game, and I've heard no one say this, was at 21-6 right before the end of the first half. Kyler Murray doing a double pirouette and just carelessly tossing the ball away for an intentional grounding back near his goal line, which he's done before in previous agonizing losses. That set the tone, in my opinion, for the rest of the game. I mean, I've never seen a quarterback do so little to protect a lead than Kyler Murray, because he lacks the poise and presence of knowing situational football and what it takes. And it's just, and from that point on, amazingly enough, we do not score a single point against the Tennessee Titans. Fumbling and bumbling this, sure victory away. And it was disgusting. Sam, give us your post-game take.
I wasn't all that surprised they lost this game. And I think some pundit on CBS said it best. The Arizona Cardinals are must-see TV every single week for all the wrong reasons. We've had 5 games. 5 games came down the final possession, and we lost in the same way, in the same fashion for 3 weeks in a row. If this team happens, for some reason, to win against the Colts next week, it will be the greatest coaching effort in Jonathan Gannon's career so far, because this team is done.
Right. Hey, look at, Kyle, what's your reaction?
So I would say, even though this is exactly the way we would have expected the Cardinals to lose a game like this against the Titans, where they get up big, offense puts up scores. The Titans, who are on their second play caller this season, and Bo Hardigree, I don't believe has ever had play calling experience. And they did great at holding the offense early, and they get a big lead, and then they lose at the end, where they can't hold on to a lead, even though that is exactly the way you would have scripted the Cardinals to lose this game. Even I was surprised that they blew a 15-point fourth quarter lead against a team that I was starting to think was not going to win more than 2 games the entire season this year. And I feel like, even though a lot of Cardinals fans are probably going to hop in here and talk about how upset they are, or how this was predictable, or this is just the same old stuff, I feel like I'm still allowed to be surprised that, even though this is exactly the way we thought they would lose if they were going to lose, that they still found a way to lose to the Titans. So that's kind of the idea I'm taking into today, which is there are symptoms that we could see before this game that would have led to the loss, but I'm still shocked that it actually happened in the way that it did, where they blow a 15-point fourth quarter lead against a bad football team.
Yeah, that was really well said. I mean, you still do have the right to be surprised, and like Sam said, the shocker would be if this team bounces back next week in Indy. Now, Jonathan Gannon would have extra incentive because going up against his cohort, Shane Steichen, and against Daniel Jones, who, Monty and the Cardinals coaches were trying to acquire last year, which is interesting. And Jones is a free agent after this season. So that's an interesting thing to look at. But Jones is playing like Sam Darnold is playing, like Mac Jones is playing. You're getting, like Baker Mayfield. How about his effort in Seattle? We don't have that at the quarterback position. And I'm sick of the excuses. I'm sick of the, it's always on Kyler. Well, Kyler, a quarterback has to set the tempo for the team. And like I said, that play at the end of the half was like, to the Titans was like, when you show a team you're that scared and that panicky, even when you're up 21-3, that signals to the other team, hey, we maybe be able to come back knowing we can get to this guy and he's their quarterback, so, and then the crazy script every week of, just giving the ball back repeatedly, giving the other team easy chances. And I don't blame the crowd for booing on 3rd and 8 when they just ran the ball for another, stuff. I mean, that was pathetic. I mean, that's the stuff that should get coaches fired. And Gannon deferred that, it was Petzing's call. No, that's always the head coach's call in late game situations. It should be. Because, and Gannon said, well, I own it because I'm the head coach. Yeah, you own it. Because, you're playing chicken shit football and you're just handing the ball over to the other team and saying, here, come win the way the other teams have won. Throw a 24-yard fade pass on the money up the sideline, like you did for Ricky Pearsall, like you did for Jackson Smith-Njigba, like you now did for Calvin Ridley, 3 freaking weeks in a row in those situations. And you don't have your best cornerback on the best receiver. What the frick is that? I mean, Will Johnson would have played on the top of that route. That's his style. He wouldn't have tried to, use trail technique in that play. I mean, the personnel decisions that these coaches make are ridiculously bad. And, and the scheme is ridiculously soft. Where you get Cam Ward, and that's what we said this all along, is that this soft zone defense makes every quarterback look good. I mean, Cam Ward's never had a game like this. But why is he suddenly good now? Because you're giving him wide open looks. And you're letting him hang around. And, it's just awful to watch. It's just scaredy cat football. And it's got to stop. Hopefully sooner rather than later, in terms of years. But I don't see it stopping. This group is incorrigible. If Jonathan Gannon didn't learn from the Vikings game last year, which is same old script that we're seeing for 5 freaking weeks, he's never going to learn. He vowed 3 weeks ago, now we're going to change up. You haven't changed a freaking thing. We got to watch this shit every week. It's just soft, guys, wide open. And an offense that just want to cough it over. Here, take it. We don't want it. It's just really, really agonizing. So let's go to the plays. We'll start obviously with the good plays because they came in the first half. After that, it was slim pickings. But go ahead. We'll start with the Marvin catch. This is a great play. Nice rollout to get Kyler, some, direct line on a pass. Good protection there. Tip Raymond did his job, which, by the way, just
Another
so
loss.
agonizing to lose Tip Raymond in James Conner-esque kind of ugly fashion. Well wishes to him and a speedy recovery. So let's get that out of the way. But look at Raymond there being protector. Excellent blocking. Nice 50-50 pass. Marvin high points it. I thought at first he was all the way in for a touchdown, but then the replay showed his butt hit. But just the same, great play. And way to get Marvin off early. But here's another thing. So Marvin gets nearly 100 yards in the first half. Where is Marvin in the second half?
Gone.
And if you have 3rd and 8 and you drafted a receiver 4th in the draft, and he's in his second year to try to win this game, and you have an all-world tight end, and you don't throw the ball on 3rd and 8 to try to win the game, you get what you deserve by doing that.
What is the head? Go ahead.
Carter TD. Watch this. Look at Will Hernandez.
Yeah, welcome back.
Made a huge difference.
Huge. And there's the other thing. He's playing great. I get they want to put him on a snap count, but he didn't look like he was languishing or anything.
Can't
They
understand.
take him out of the game.
Yeah.
And he sits the rest of the game on the sideline, or so it seemed.
Put in John Gaines, who struggled.
Well, you're messing with the chemistry, and you obviously have a bell cow there, and he didn't look like he missed a beat, did he, Hernandez, on that block?
Looked great.
I mean, fantastic.
Yeah. And Adams looked better on the other side.
Yep. Now we'll take Kyler's TD. This is first calf Kyler, who's, got his head up. Trips to the right. Beautiful escape. Excellent blocks. It created a gauntlet right into the end zone, not touched. Bingo.
I believe they said on the broadcast 32nd career rushing touchdown.
Yeah. I mean, that's Kyler running at his best. This is a, confident looking Kyler with a 14-3 lead now.
I also saw a little mojo sign back there. How about that?
Yep. The Titans' edge crashed inside, which made it a perfect escape. Bang. Now we'll see the Bam Knight TD. See, things are going good. We're rushing the ball in for touchdowns because we have Will Hernandez in the game, paving the way. Look at Hernandez again. Just plowing his way through. Way to go, Bam Bam. First TD as a Cardinal. Look at Tip Ryman as the fullback. Good job. Vokalek on a down block, 81 on the right side. McBride squared up on his man. Look at who's that? Beach blocking on
Paris
that edge.
there.
Yeah, on the left edge. Is that Beach?
I think that's Paris Johnson.
Yep.
Let's see.
Oh, I think it's Beecham. Yep, Beecham.
Oh, yeah, sorry. He's right there. You're right.
Yep. That's their jumbo package with Beach in there. They're going to need more of that with Tip Raymond out. So, you're winning the red zone.
We're only 20 minutes in the game. It's 21-3.
Yes. Can I pause 1 minute?
Sure. Go for it.
I'll be back 1 second.
No worries. So we got those are basically all the good plays there. The next one we've got coming up, which I know Walter is going to want to break down here. We've got the intentional grounding play coming up, which there was also one earlier. I don't think we have the highlight for it, Sam, but there was one where Jeffrey Simmons was coming and Kyler just kind of like dropped to the ground on one of them, which it was probably going to be a sack anyways, but it was like one of those avoiding the sack plays. I don't know if you saw that during the game. Do you remember that moment?
Yeah, it's a typical back shoulder spin, hit the ground, panic by Kyler. And he definitely was going to get sacked there. Simmons had a pretty good game, actually, across the line yesterday.
And of course you expect, your all-pro players to play well in those situations, but it seemed like Simmons was kind of a game wrecker in the second half, which is unfortunate for the Cardinals because as the final score showed, they only needed one more point in order to win the game. After the 3 touchdowns in the first, 20 minutes of the game, they just needed 1 point in the final 40 minutes. And it felt like Simmons was a game wrecker here, which is also evident by this play, which I'm sure Walter has a lot of thoughts on when he gets back, but we'll watch it real quick here as well.
Simmons had almost as many sacks as the entire Cardinals' vaunted defensive line had yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. And right there, you can kind of see Jonah Williams fighting it off. And part of that, too, is the break contain play that I'm sure Walter will talk about in a second, too. But I think kind of the bigger part of it is you have a game wrecker in Simmons. Walter back now. We were just talking about this play, but also when Kyler just kind of dropped to the ground on a sack when Simmons was coming through, which was probably going to be a sack anyways, but in a game where you just needed 1 point in the final 40 minutes to win, the all-pro player for the Titans ends up being a game wrecker. And you can see it obviously on this play where he beats Jonah. Kyler's escaping, and then just takes the intentional grounding.
Was this the next play?
Yeah. We're going into the intentional grounding.
Are we on now?
Yeah, we are. Mm-hmm.
We're taping? Okay, good.
Yep.
All right. Sorry for that delay. I had a door delivered. We have a new front door coming in.
You're going to need a front door. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, here's what drives me nuts. Okay. I'll ask you to pause right here.
Right up.
Look at Demercado.
Yeah.
Now, also back up just to one frame. Who's wide open right here?
McBride.
McBride. What is wrong with these options with a clean pocket? Nothing. Now, watch this. That's an escape route. Go ahead, Pat.
That's a quarterback in his 7th season, with showing absolutely no pocket awareness whatsoever, or an ability to watch open receivers and hit over open receivers right in front of him.
Right. And look at the escape route he has up the middle, which I've been begging you guys have been hearing me every week for 2 years. If Kyler escapes up the middle, it drives the defense nuts and it backs off the rush. Look at this. Now watch. Boom. Look at the opening. It's even sealed off. You got one defender to beat coming up. Instead, what is that? And like I said, this play, I think, gave the Titans, a sense of, you know what, we can get to these guys. It's just such an awful look. and a classic example of what Kyler is deficient at in so many ways.
Habits that haven't been broken, improvements that haven't occurred. 5 weeks in a row, we watched our 7th-year pro get outclassed and outfocused by rookies and 1 or 2 year reclamation projects.
Correct. That's the reality here. I
We're
mean,
seeing excellent quarterback play across the league, and we haven't seen it at home.
right. And guess what? Cam Ward threw for almost 50 yards more than Kyler Murray in this football game. Throwing to Calvin Ridley and Tyler Dockett. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So,
if
and
you
a
go
tight
back,
end in Chig Okonkwo is not Trey McBride.
right. And
Right.
he's good, but he's not great.
right, just like the last 5 weeks, we've watched a young quarterback have a magnificent fourth quarter, while our quarterback had a, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Non-existent, no show.
Yeah, no show.
Ward had 193 yards in the fourth quarter alone yesterday. This is a rookie quarterback.
There you go.
Won a professional football game, who's been sacked 19 times. He was only sacked twice yesterday. 19 times in 5 games this season. He had no pressure on him at all. He had the poise and confidence and abilities that our quarterback hasn't shown in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah,
Next up,
we're in the red zone. A field goal might seal the deal here. And
well, it would have. In hindsight, it would have. They lost by 1 point.
Right.
Here's the play.
I mean, what is the right guard doing here? I mean, nothing in this play is understandable.
I heard a couple explanations for it. Froholt thought that they were going to get an encroachment penalty, so he hiked the ball.
Oh,
that was one explanation, and you're right. There's no explanation for this, and I'm not crazy about Kyler's hustle to pick up that football.
Correct.
But
again,
Kyler also said he took the blame for it, that he miscued the hike. So,
all right. Well, take the blame too for not getting after the football. Then post this play, we get the mysterious Kyler injury.
Yeah.
Sending him into the locker room
for 2 plays.
When he doesn't look like he's injured.
He's not limping.
I mean, there are mystery things with Kyler and this kind of thing. I just don't get it. But, would Patrick Mahomes have gone into the locker room? I mean, maybe they were saying a foot injury. Maybe they had to check and see if it's a fracture. All right. But
maybe he had to
limping around. Was he limping around? Was he looking like he was in serious pain? No. So, but he came back in. Unfortunately, couldn't get anything going after that. And then he deferred on, I just trust the play call in his presser. When asked, didn't you want to pass the ball at the end? And he just said, I just trust the play call. This is Kyler feathering his own nest. This is what he does. He'll say, I take the blame. That's bullshit. What he's doing here is he's feeding in on the fans' frenzy of fire petsing.
That's right. Deflecting.
This is the guy who he called a genius. Has called a genius for 2 years. Who's now saying, like, I just trust the play call. Throw Petzing under the bus. It's Petzing's deal, not mine. And, let's remember, too, that Kyler has the autonomy to audible. I mean, the way the Titans were loading the box on that play, he could have seen something that, whoa, I got something here that could get us this first down. He could have audibled out of it. But like everyone else on this team in the fourth quarter, he just, bailed out. Just, I'll trust the play call, even though it's going nowhere.
So that's what he says in the press conference, and that's what he says in front of the world. What do you think a competitive quarterback would think of his play caller when he doesn't allow him to throw a pass after the fumble recovery?
Right.
He didn't complete a single pass after the fumble recovery. You know why? Because he didn't attempt one.
Right.
What does that say about the confidence this coaching staff has in their franchise quarterback?
Exactly. Here's the guy you double down on. That's why, to me, you can't have Monty back. You can't have Gannon back. They hitched their wagon to this guy. They passed on Will Anderson Jr. for this guy because he wanted a tackle because Beach called him out for needing to be able to step up and be a leader. Passed on the best defensive player they could have ever wanted falling in their laps. Not that I love Paris Johnson, don't get me wrong, but we had to do all this trading and giving away picks too to get him. And there were really good tackles in that draft on other rounds. Right tackles. They had drafted Paris Johnson Jr. to play right tackle, the best left tackle in the draft. All of it doesn't make sense. And these are Monty's hires. He condoned this. He's condoned the youngest coaching staff by far in the NFL. He's condoned no senior advisors anywhere because we obviously have it together. We know what we're doing. When we see the exact same stupid plan every week after every week after every week, it's entirely soft and a giveaway.
You know what I noticed at the end of the game yesterday was Mike McCoy hugging Callahan. Mike McCoy, the offensive coordinator that the Cardinals fired mid-season in 2018. Mike McCoy beat the Arizona Cardinals yesterday.
Revenge game.
Mike
with the rookie quarterback who was having a hard time throwing 50% of his passes complete coming into the game.
And
if you watched him the week before.
And I thought he was one of the worst OCs we've ever had. And he just beat our current genius, defensive genius, and out-coached from an offensive standpoint, our offensive coordinator as well.
Yeah. Give the young guy, Kyle, what's his name?
Hard
the young
agree.
play caller.
Oh, hard agree.
Hey, he looked like Stan Steichen over there in the fourth quarter. Dialing up dimes.
Yeah, I did.
And,
I thought I saw that right, but I wasn't sure. I was like, that can't be Mike McCoy. He can't still be working in the NFL. He was Urban Meyer's offensive coordinator, I want to say. After that, I was like, there's no way.
Everywhere. Yeah, he's been everywhere.
Like, I haven't seen him in 4 years. There's no way he's still coaching. It was
fired him
It was Mike McCoy.
Yeah.
He's been fired mid-season multiple places.
Yep.
Right. After being fired mid-season as head coach the year before.
Yep.
Spent a lot of beach time in SoCal.
Just
the second half of the season.
Just another
San Diego Chargers.
That's right. That's when he was head coach. That definitely got him moved to LA. That's what he was there for.
Yep.
Yeah, senior offensive assistant for the Titans.
Yep.
He was the quarterback's coach.
In that role, I think he's good to have around. I mean, the guy knows football. He coached Peyton Manning. I mean, so
he can't coach here. He has too much experience.
he can't coach here because I think the fans would upheaval if they brought back Mike McCoy. But yeah, I guess it was more recent than I thought. He was with Doug Peterson with the Jaguars, so he was the quarterbacks coach there for.
Yeah, and we saw how well his quarterback developed in Jacksonville, didn't we?
Yeah, well, exactly.
Trevor Lawrence has been a dismal disappointment.
Yeah, that was disappointing for sure. That was surprising to me. I thought Peterson would do the job, but
I think Peterson would be a good quarterback coach here.
Sure.
Better than what we have, that's for sure.
No,
you can get a Super Bowl winning coach as your offensive coordinator or quarterbacks coach. You take it.
Well, if you think that you're going to keep Kyler Murray, which please, this is enough. I mean, this has been torture. I mean, exhilarating 1 minute, torture the next. That's no way to win football games. So, speaking of torture, let's watch this.
The craziest play.
Bizarre.
I think the craziest touchdown I think I've seen in all season at least. Cam Ward dropping back, rolling to his left, deflected, intercepted, untouched fumble, kicked into the end zone, recovered by the Titans for a touchdown.
And guess who recovers it? Age-old Cardinals nemesis, Tyler Lockett.
Tyler Lockett, yeah. And
it made me think karma. Because, it was Tyler Lockett they let score the deep touchdown when they're tanking against the Seahawks, when they finally had a chance to beat Pete Carroll on what turned out to be Pete Carroll's last football game coaching the Seahawks. They just let Tyler Lockett go over the top for an easy touchdown. He had pile after pile after pile of big games against the Cardinals. And here he is. I'm a believer in the football gods. One of the biggest peeves they have is a team tanking games. And that game was a classic. Kyle Odegaard described it as the perfect loss. To which I responded like, are you kidding me? I mean, you should never, ever coach to try to lose a game. But now the irony is you're coaching to try to lose a game when you don't want to lose a game. And that's the karma of all this. I mean, it's so deserved, in my opinion, because, you can go down the list. How do you think the football gods look at Jonathan Gannon? What would you think? Are they rooting for Jonathan Gannon? Why would they? The dude quit on his team in Super Bowl. And he put together another fourth quarter like we've seen, repeatedly here. I mean, and then he lied about it. Having, a week earlier told the whole world, I'm staying in Philly. They're paying me. I mean,
go ahead.
You go.
If you think the football gods dislike Jonathan Gannon, what do you think they think of Michael Bidwell?
Exactly.
Satan.
Exactly. I mean, that's where it all begins. And
he's joined the wrong team, Gannon. He's on team. If you're talking football gods, Mike Bidwell's got to be team Satan.
Right.
When have they ever smiled down on Michael Bidwell?
And look at the hierarchy here. You got Bidwell, who's a control freak. So he has a GM he can use as puppet master again, who hires a head coach he can manipulate, who hires a total staff of newbies who he can manipulate. It's a control freak thing from one tier of the organization to the next. It has nothing to do with winning football games. Nothing. It has everything to do with control. And, thing is, here's the thing too. So people underestimate this. You always want a dissenter on your staff. You always want that. You want someone with the alternate opinion. Now, in the end, you hash it out, but it makes everybody better. It keeps everybody honest. A dissenter on this staff, we could hire Sam to go in there. And he would say, here's what you're doing wrong. And here's what's got to stop. I mean, it's so obvious to all of us. But obviously, no coach is going to Gannon and saying, like, even Rallis, who again gets the brunt of the blame because Gannon doesn't coach defense anymore. And he won't admit that this is his shtick. That it's so that's part of the control thing, is that no, I'm above all this, and these guys have to live and die with what they're doing. So I give them the autonomy. But this is Gannon's defense. This is how he played in Philly, which draw the ire of Philly fans. To a degree, they had a better pass rush in Philly, so they were getting more sacks. But Philly fans picked up on this right away. It's just unsound, schematic football. And, it's so flawed. But there's not a dissenter in the group to go, hey, coach, this isn't working. And here's why. And it's obvious every week. Should have happened back last year at the end of the Minnesota game. But nobody learns the lesson. I don't know why Adrian Taylor Demerson was so eager to get up. I mean, if you're coaching him and you're in this key situation and you're staggering and going to the ground with the football, just cover it until somebody touches you. Why? Because you risk too much getting up, as we saw. I mean, what if he just in the process of getting up, he gets nailed and the ball could come out that way? But you protect the football in that situation. Now, he's a second-year player, but he's a pretty savvy player. I bet if this happens again, he'll do that. Just all on his own. He doesn't need to be coached to do that. Well, there was no reason for him to try to get up and make a run out of it in that situation. Now, if we were behind, maybe it's a little different. But we're protecting a lead, and at that point, the lead was still a two-score game. So, and the unfortunate thing was the ball ended up at the feet of Catrell Clark.
Clark kicked it in the end zone.
Which is so awkward. If you look down at a football and set your feet, of course you're going to kick it. I mean, you can't hop on it from there. I mean, I've never seen anyone do that. They just try to go down to get it. And then in the process, his foot kicked the ball. And then it's heading towards two defenders who are already on the ground. I think Buddha was one of them. I think Adrian Taylor Demerson was one of them. And just as it's coming towards them, Catrell Clark extends his hand to try to grab it, and it pushes it forward into the end zone, where Tyler frickin' Lockett is right there to beat Johnny on the spot. Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's the craziest score I've seen.
Yeah. Except this is even crazier.
Yeah, so we have just the close-up of the Emari Demercado dropping the ball at the 1-yard line.
This makes absolutely no sense. And here's the epitome of the game. Who doesn't quit on the play?
Yep.
Who doesn't quit? The Cardinal or the Titan? I mean, at this point in the game, all the Titans could have gone, that's it. End of ball game. No, it's this guy, Snead. He's trying to make a play. Where Demercado inexplicably dials it down for the last 15 yards and makes it a play for Snead. Wow. 2 out of 3 weeks. Emari's came up big last week to tie the game, which then we had a 28-second meltdown on special teams and defense. And, you know, the week before he dropped what looked like could be a clear TD pass on an out pass.
Yep.
That said, Emari's the best pass protector, third down back on the team. Something has been mentally sort of off with him all this season. I'm not sure what it is, and I want to get to the bottom of it. And if it's just too much, then you probably have to let him go. But mentally, he does not seem like the same player he was last year. And that showed up in preseason games. I thought he was just really lackluster, just going through the motions. And so
this is a huge opportunity for him. He could have made a name for himself, gotten the contract, putting up good film, and he hasn't. I'm disappointed for him.
Yeah,
because I like him. I like him as a player. And you know, you pull Murray's running stats out, and if you take that 72-yard fiasco out of the equation, the Cardinals had 62 yards rushing yesterday, and I'm a big fan of the kid who finished the game at the end of the game, but he averaged 2.5 yards a rush. He's too small. He's not a bellwether quarterback. Now I'm sure Gannon, somebody got upset with Demercado. Instead of giving him an opportunity to redeem himself, they benched him. Well, maybe that's the message they need to send to the rest of the team. But Carter isn't going to be able to be this team's account. I heard a lot of people suggest they're going to cut Demercado, send a message today. I don't know how they're going to cut Demercado. They don't have any talent there as it is.
Yeah, and I had tweeted that I hope they don't let go of Emari. First of all, I always look at it this way. If they cut Emari and he's claimed by Shanahan,
oh yeah,
how are we feeling about it then?
Oh,
yeah. And Emari does things that Shanahan would really appreciate, or McVay.
No question.
McVay would love him, and so would McDonald up in Seattle. So they're in the division. They know what this guy's value is as a third down pass protecting. Receiving threat and then draw to lot. I mean, he's great running a draw. So, look at it that way. Okay, if you just cut him and then suddenly one of your division rivals gets him, how are you going to feel about that? So
who's going to run the football here?
Yeah,
you got a terrible running game as it is.
Right.
Who's going to win the football if they let him go?
Right.
He's got a lot to make up for 2 weeks in a row.
He does, and I think he should get the chance.
You would think next game he would put the best film he ever put down and really make up for it. Maybe he's not that kind of kid. We don't know, but we should.
I think he is.
We should find out.
You know, he owned up.
Go ahead.
After the game, he owned up. He is. There's something a little bit off. I don't know what it is.
Maybe it's lack of coaching.
Yeah, that could be it. I mean, and we got a controversy out of this. Did you see Gannon hitting him? Let's show that, Kyle.
Yeah, just for those who are watching, Gannon's getting up in his face. You got
you paused it during the hit, or it staggered.
Yeah, and then
just
kind of bumps him backwards right about there. You can
and then he swipes him. Watch.
Then let's see. Oh yeah, I missed that the first time. Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be ushered away by Rogers. Rogers kind of moved him out of the way there.
Right. I'd love it if they let go of Gannon and put Rogers in charge. I'd love it. Gannon's so out of his element, and it's just. And then, so he says after the game, we're just not coaching the details well enough. So, Kyle, will you read my tweet to that? That I had on the sheet, or post it?
Yeah, the JG keeps saying we aren't coaching the details well enough, but what details of soft zones at the end of games he has watched 5 weeks in a row, giving Rattler, Young, Jones, Darnold, and rookie Ward wide open throws and easy catches have anything to do with details. It's the chicken bleep scheme with zero tangible adjustments 5 weeks in a row. What's the definition of insanity?
Same script.
Yep.
Can't help himself. He obviously can't. And it's partly like he underestimates. He thinks, well, these quarterbacks aren't really that good. They're not going to beat us because we're going to stall out the clock on them. Except in every one of those cases, the story of the fourth quarter were these quarterbacks. Every one we've played. Not Kyler Murray.
Correct.
Kyler's 0 for season. Although last week on the Thursday night, he finally got it together to get the game tied. And the irony is 28 seconds later, the game's lost. But Kyler didn't finish out the game. So he hasn't finished out any of these games. And we're now, 5 games in.
Kyler Murray is 8-37 when the team is behind in the fourth quarter over his career.
It's staggering.
37. If Gannon has little confidence in the other team's quarterback,
right,
he didn't have much confidence in his own. And probably based on these stats, he shouldn't.
Right. I mean, and then people are saying, yeah, but it's a poor quarterback draft. Even Kurt Warner was saying, well, you have to consider who you're, that who would be the next guy. Well, did Sean Payton consider who would be the next guy? He said, I don't see it in Russell Wilson. I'm going to let him go. And I'm going to go and draft my own quarterback, who, by the way, helped beat the Eagles in Philadelphia yesterday. Yeah. He's not a whirlwind, talent necessarily, Bo Nix, but he's so efficient when you get him on a roll, and you can win with him. When you have a great defense, the way he can matriculate the ball down the field, at key moments, and that kid plays 60 minutes hard. So, and he makes some mistakes, sure, but he's only a second-year player. But he was highly efficient in college, and he has a chance to be dang good. And he's won a bunch of games already and taken the team to the playoffs. But Sean Payton didn't sit still. Mike McDonald, Gino, you want to go? Go, buddy.
That's right.
Go with Pete. Go ahead. We'll let you. And then it's like, hello, Kubiak and Darnold. And they're putting up huge numbers up in Seattle. I think they're number 1 in passing. I mean, who would have thought that? So, You know, if you're always looking like, well, there's nobody else, that's so bullshit. Sorry. I mean, there's nobody else. I'd like to think there are a lot of other quarterbacks who would, you know, have better records against the NFC West than Kyler. I know of one named Colt McCoy who does, who had a 3-1 record against the NFC West under Cliff. So, you know, but let's look at Casa Roja. This epitomizes so much of. Oh wait, before we do that, let's get a vision of. Okay, let's do this. Kyle, would you read that?
That's great. Yeah, we sure are.
Can you read that, Kyle?
I'll read it.
Yeah, you read it.
Last month on improving the home field advantage, we created a new seating area called Casa Roja, which is right behind the visiting team bench. I think you're going to see a lot of red behind there from now on. Yeah, we see a lot of red
at the end of the game.
Sure.
Good thing for Casa Roja.
That's great.
So is Casa Roja like they're specifically set for Cardinals fans who want to sit there? Is that the idea?
Yeah.
He's claiming that they're going to have raucous fans there behind the other team's bench.
Yeah.
But
to root the Cardinals on and to combat the typical hordes of opposing fans.
What?
That come to see games at State
But
Farm.
why would a Cardinal fan want to sit behind the Titan bench?
You
Like,
don't
heckle
them.
You know, it's a joke.
I guess, but
so when I was on Dan Vienn's Seattle Seahawks podcast, Dan does an amazing job. He really does. He said the last time he was at State Farm, which wasn't too long ago, I think it was last year, he said he was shocked at how many fans in the stadium were not sitting in their seats. They were in these like convention rooms out by the concession stands where they were watching the game on TVs and mingling like it was a cocktail party and drinking, you know, heavy drinking and stuff like that. And he was like, he said he never quite seen that in a stadium before, of, you know, and of that kind of magnitude of fans preferring to, you know, mingle and drink and watch the game on TV when you're there in the stadium. And now, of course, you also have the garden party out in one of the end zones, you know, with the, you know, quesadilla shack. I mean, it's just
what? First time hearing of this. They have a quesadilla shack out in the field.
I mean, this is what it's come to. I mean, Bill thought, boy, fans would love to sort of mingle around among palm trees and cacti, and then, you know, have these, you know, catered quesadillas and margaritas brought to them, you know, like making a football game a big social event. Instead of what we really want is a game, right?
Well, you might need a drink in your hand watching the Cardinals.
Yeah.
You might need several drinks over the course of the game. But
I was going to say, I get it, because all of these sporting events want to bring in premium clientele. That's the thing. People are going to spend money, blah, blah. But football is supposed to be the sport where you don't have to worry about that, and you only have like 8 games a year.
Right.
Right? With baseball, you're trying to convince people to come 80 times a
Yes.
year, not 8. You shouldn't have a problem convincing 8 times a year people with money to come to the game. It's kind of funny. Anyways, I see the quesadilla bar now in this video on their website. You see what you're talking about here.
Well, this is going on in stadiums all around the NFL. Bidwell didn't invent this. He's a copycat owner, so this works somewhere else. So he's doing it too. But he's going to have to, when they lose to the Colts next week, and they've got Green Bay here the following week, Casa Roja is going from Casa Roja to Casa Verde, which is Spanish for green.
Correct.
So Casa Red is going Casa Green in 2 weeks, because there's not going to be anybody sitting in Casa Roja unless Bidwell gives a bunch of tickets away.
Yep. Let's see the Ridley fade and get it out of our system.
Yeah.
The irony is they're playing soft zones typically, but now they come up in this situation and control this situation, and they just throw over the top of this because there's no safety help there. You're vulnerable on that island. Will Johnson would have had the cushion. And this is, like last year, I'm like saying to myself, why isn't Garrett Williams signed to the best receiver? They don't do it. It's like they don't mix and match. What a gift. So
go
ahead.
We have so many kids on injured reserve. We've got 13 kids on injured reserve. We're tied for the third most in the league.
Yeah.
And I'm, this is injuries to starters and key depth players on a team with not a lot of depth. And certainly that's what we've got going on in our defensive backfield.
Right.
But I'm beginning to wonder if this head coach realizes he's going to be probably out of a job and needs an excuse to keep it. And might be the only excuse he has is he to go to the owner and say, look, we just had too many injuries. You got to give me another season because we just got decimated by injuries. I don't think Kyle Shanahan has to say that, does he?
Does he?
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing, too. You watched in preseason, who was the best boundary corner cover guy other than Will Johnson? It was Elijah Jones.
Yep. Sitting on the bench.
And you're not even playing.
Nope.
I mean, he has the size advantage. I mean, I love Claytrell Clark, and he's playing well. It's just that he's better suited for the slot. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. Brett Coleman knows it. He can play the boundary at times. I'm not sure. I'm sure. I think he's more of a right side boundary guy than left side. But in that situation, it's just disappointing that if you're going to put one of these corners who are playing in the game on an island against their best receiver, it should have been Will Johnson. And you don't see it. And these are the details that make a difference, in my opinion. And unfortunately, there was a lack of detail there, personnel-wise. And I don't think you need to press corner. You should be playing 5-man under, 4-man rush, 2-man safety. So that you're playing man to man. And you're not giving up easy passes. It's not that hard. But you're also playing man to man with a bit of a, I mean, you're either up pressing, which is fine too, and you're helping with safeties, or you're playing with a little cushion to try to play your man and see the ball. But we make it look so, easy for the other team. It's just, and the redundancy of that week after week is really, really, really disappointing. So,
and they had Clark on Ridley's 2 really big pass plays, so they didn't even learn from the first one. Move Johnson over.
It's not a good match for Jay Terrell.
No.
And so we've got better options, and I don't know why they don't use them. So next question. First of all, question for both of you: do you think Gannon will be disciplined for hitting Demercado?
I think if it does, I don't know if we're going to hear about it. It depends how much public pressure there is around it. I kind of see the videos now going viral this morning. So, if there's people on television saying this is unacceptable and he has to, be reprehended for that, then I think we'll hear something. But if there's not enough of an outcry, I think we just won't hear about if there's any sort of punishment or apprehension for Gannon. But I think he probably should be, just because it's going to end up looking like a bad look, especially when Paris is about himself. I think Demercado deserves and will get some sympathy in that situation. So I think it just depends on how much public pressure there is about this incident, whether or not we find out if there's any kind of apprehension, because most of the time these clubs like to just keep things in house.
Well, you can't when it's going viral. So, but I get your point. Yeah, there's no.
Yeah,
the tape we have, is that the clearest picture of it?
The local news footage is the best angle we have of it so far, unless another one comes to light later.
Right.
I think if the shot was a little more visible and you could see Demercado's face,
right,
then I think he's got a better chance of getting, I don't know, getting in trouble, listen, what's really more important is what do you think his players think of him after that?
Who, Gannon?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first of all, my thought was that the NFLPA is going to get involved here, as well they should. You can't have, yes, it's football, and yes, these are tough guys, but you can't have coaches taking swipes at players on the sideline.
Imagine it was the opposite.
I mean, it was even unacceptable in Woody Hayes' day. They clamped down on Woody Hayes. You just can't. There's a line there, a firm line you can't cross. So, and I think that the league will probably fine Gannon, especially if the NFLPA gets involved. Bidwell probably gives Gannon a pass. Now, here's the next question. Will we see Emari Demercado being cut?
I hope not.
Yeah, I would say no. We've seen that happen before. Players have been cut for less and cut for more. I get it, but we've seen guys fumble the ball at the 1 yard line before. He's not going to get cut.
I likened it to, and I know I got some pushback on this, and I understand that maybe the severity is different. But I was like, do we cut Chad Ryland after a major brain fart the week before? I mean, isn't kicking, not getting the ball to the 20, as much as a gaffe in certain ways in that situation? I mean, I recognize that, there's a little difference there, but there isn't. Both issues were contributing factors as to how and why the Cardinals lost. So, I think the Demercado one is more egregious. So yeah, I get that, but I think, would we cut Chad Ryland because he made this just a terrible decision, terrible mistake there? No, Chad Ryland's been great.
Yes.
Emari, for the most part, has been really, a free agent, an undrafted college free agent gem who typically shines at State Farm Stadium, like he did in the playoffs finals against Michigan, of all people, who stopped the run unbelievably. He had like 150 yards, leading TCU to a win. I mean, Amari he's a talented kid.
He should be the most motivated kid on that team.
Absolutely.
Now, can the coaches use that? Can
Yes.
the coaches resurrect him, give him some confidence, and give him an opportunity to redeem himself? Or are they just going to cut him?
Right.
What's a better example to a young football team?
And I think this could backfire on Gannon and Austin Fort if they do cut him. The players might say, "What the frick?"
There's no question.
Paris was there for him. I appreciate that. Some people say that's soft. Oh, go coddle. I don't think Paris was coddling him. He was just saying, like, listen, dude, we're going to need you later in the game. Keep your head in the game. We got your back. Don't dwell on this. We got a lot of game left. And Will Hernandez was right there, being Mijo. I think that was a good move on the players' parts. And Paris said it after the game. He said, I didn't want guys giving him the evil stare or whatever. I just wanted everybody to move on from this. It was an unfortunate mistake. And, let's believe in our players. So I think if the message today is to make Emari Demercado the scapegoat of the entire game, to take the focus away from the coaches, who, in my opinion, are number one at fault, and two is the quarterback at fault. I think it would be very unfortunate, and I think you run the risk of really losing the football team, because I feel like this team's on the verge of collapse.
Oh.
And here's my biggest worry. My biggest worry is we're going to get skunked now for several weeks in a row. Then the minute we drop out of it and the games are meaningless now for the Cardinals, we might win a couple games and they'll say, see, this is what, and Kyler's playing well and this is how we, timeout. No. Don't fall for that bait. You got to have coaches who can win the meaningful games. And we saw after the bye week, they were not up to the task at all. And we're seeing now that they're just like they were during the bye week. An erratic quarterback, terrible plays in the fourth quarter trying to close out games. And they lost their mojo on offense. Look at what Clayton Adams did yesterday.
Yes.
He had no starters on the offensive line. And Dak went off, and the running game went off with
Cowboys
5 backups.
Yeah, Cowboys are averaging 34 points per game. We lost our offensive coordinator when Clayton Adams went to the Cowboys.
Correct. And so, just as an early gauge, if we're going to move off again next year, any ideas of who you would want in and what the parameters might be?
Well, I don't know who's gonna hire that new coach, frankly,
right?
Because I don't have a lot of confidence in the GM who hired Gannon, and I don't have a lot of confidence in the GM who, like Walt said, just let Gannon hire a staff, completely inexperienced staff,
right?
With it's borderline arrogance,
right?
And they better hire themselves an offensive-minded coach, and they better hire themselves a coach who can look at the world and say, this quarterback is either going to get fixed under me or he's out of here. And bring in competition so this kid can actually compete and earn his job.
Right. Like San Francisco did, bring him in Mac Jones.
That's right.
And now he's the favorite son.
I facetiously said on the blog this week, since the season is going to be a total loss, maybe we can convince the Rams and the 49ers to take Kyler for the rest of the season, make him their season reclamation project like they did with Baker, like they're doing with Mac Jones, and get him fixed for next season so he can come here and maybe be a well-coached quarterback for a while.
Like loans in soccer, basically.
Yeah.
In soccer, you can loan a player to another team.
Here, Sean McVay, will you fix our quarterback problem for us? Here, Kyle Shanahan, show this kid what it takes to have some pocket awareness. This kid has no pocket awareness whatsoever.
Right.
None.
Right.
We saw glimpses of it at the beginning of the year, but when it's 3rd and long, or he's got to make a play, he's got the quickest, happiest feet, the least amount of concentration of any 7-year quarterback we've seen.
Right. It's the lack of poise that gets you, because it doesn't give you confidence or the team confidence to think that, did you see Drake May at the end of the game, all game last night?
Tremendous.
I mean, it was just so in the moment and making plays. And
how about Bo Nix yesterday?
Bo Nix was fabulous down the stretch. Oh my God, the
and poise
there. See that, and the polish.
And you know who else? That's right. And you know who else was poised yesterday?
Who's
at State Farm Stadium? A rookie quarterback, Cam Ward. That was poised in the 4th quarter. That was playmaking in the 4th quarter.
Correct. Moving his feet, creating angles. We weren't getting to him. Pass rush is not clicking when we need it most.
Yep.
Which is really disappointing given the additions they made. And so it's same old, same old.
Yeah, and Kyler was sacked just twice yesterday. So it wasn't like he was under duress all day and running for his life. He was sacked twice.
Right. No, there were plenty of opportunities to exploit a Titan secondary that's got some shaky parts, and unfortunately, and too bad the great plays to McBride that were called back for holding. The penalties were bad again. I mean, at least last year you could say, well, the Cardinals don't commit as many penalties as they used to with Cliff. But let me throw this by you too. If the Cardinals end up with a top 3 draft pick and they decide they're going to, go young, and I think clearly they have to move on from Kyler Murray. I mean, it's just been too long of the same thing. I mean, I don't know how well Kyler Murray is going to have to stand up health-wise this season to begin with. So, but if we have a top 3 draft pick, could you envision us bringing Cliff back as head coach? Only this time with the autonomy to make his hires across the board on the staff. Now that he has all kinds of NFL connections. No?
I'm gonna go with a no on that one. I think that ship has sailed at this point. Not that Cliff won't be an NFL head coach. It's just not gonna be in Arizona.
Well, who better would develop a rookie quarterback? Cliff is 2 for 2. Right?
Oh, it's just more so a marriage of convenience than it would be anything else. I just don't think either side would really want that again at this point. Not that Cliff didn't do a good job. It's just everyone just seems to have moved on at this point kind of situation.
Well, he's still on the payroll.
That's right. After this season, Cliff Kingsbury will have his pick of jobs. And he, like every young coach who wants a successful career in the NFL, he's going to avoid the Arizona Cardinals like the plague. Right. There's no way he's coming back to work for Mike Bidwell.
I wouldn't think so, right?
And I said it when they fired Cliff, that Cliff has a better shot at winning a Super Bowl ring before Bidwell does.
That's what I said too.
Yep.
I agree. Yep.
You're telling me that if Zach Taylor gets got in Cincinnati, that Cliff Kingsbury wouldn't say, I'm going to go coach Joe Burrow, or I'm going to go coach X, Y, or Z quarterback over whatever the Cardinals are doing?
I don't know if Cliff would go to Cincinnati. Their owner is just as miserable.
Yeah.
He just got lucky because his team was terrible in the Burrow draft.
Right.
Bidwell wasn't lucky. When he was terrible, he got stuck with Kyler.
Right.
Yeah. That's just kind of the idea, though, right? Is like, even I think of Jim Harbaugh, too. It's like no one wants to go work for the Chargers, but you have the golden goose, the thing that everyone tries to get in the sport, right. Which is that star quarterback, and you kind of make your way. But even if they go a different GM, coach, whatever, I mean, there's still other questions like, do people want to interview for the Cardinals job? Dan Quinn did not want the job when it was available last time. What is the budget here?
No coach with a future is going to work for the Cardinals. Nobody. That's why Jonathan Gannon, he wasn't a hot ticket even after Philly won the Super Bowl. He wasn't a hot ticket.
Right. Well,
he's also at the time was the 31st highest paid coach in the league. I think he's now a little bit higher, but when he was hired, he was the lowest paid coach in the league too. So I don't know what that means for this cycle, right? Like if you wanted to get Robert Saleh, you'd have to pay Robert Saleh in order to leave San Francisco to go to Arizona and take on a rebuilding project. Do you have that kind of money that you're willing to give out this hiring cycle? Or are you going to go the, offensive coordinator from a second tier team that is, or a retread, right? Like if Brian Daboll gets fired by the Giants, are you just going to go the retread route, right? There's so many different factors at play if they do make that move.
Well, it's good to get the Cliff question out of the way because, I've heard some rumblings, rumors of Cliff to the Dolphins. So,
sure.
Now
that would actually be interesting because they also might move on.
Too is, kind of
bring Mike McDonald in here to call plays.
Yeah. And it was with the stipulation that they're going to have a high draft pick and he can draft his own quarterback, I think. I don't think, just as the Cardinals, I think, should move off of Kyler this year, I think the Dolphins are going to move off of Tua. So I think that's a given. Now, so here's my thought. Maybe it's time finally to hire a head coach with head coaching experience. Let's go the opposite route because let's look at our division. You got to take on McVay twice a year, Shanahan twice a year, McDonald twice a year. You need experienced guys to do that. I'll tell you why I thought Lou Anarumo was a better candidate than Jonathan Gannon, even though Anarumo has never been a head coach. In big games, playoff games, he had the formula for stifling Patrick Mahomes, unlike any coach has had. He also stifled Josh Allen and the Bengals, and I didn't think he had a juggernaut defense talent-wise, put it that way. I think they had some good players, but he got them playing together and they got a game plan together against Mahomes. It was, par excellence. I mean, so given that, I thought he had some Belichick type qualities that he could stifle quarterbacks. See, I think today you need a head coach who has a special talent. and someone who can make those in-game adjustments that are so critical, and have that experience. So here's the naming of a float outage. Give your immediate impact. Vic Fangio. You know better than anyone here, Sam.
Yeah. Vic Fangio's not leaving Philadelphia. He's got a dream job. He wasn't a very successful head coach. He really didn't like being a head coach. I think he's very happy in Philadelphia. Again, I don't see Vic Fangio at his age tarnishing his legacy. I mean, he might be a Hall of Fame coach, especially if he stays in Philadelphia, but he's not going to tarnish his legacy with the stain of Bidwell. He's not going to coach a rebuild. He'll coach a team that's 2-3 players or a good scheme away from a Super Bowl move with a wealthy, competitive, aggressive owner.
Well, how about Mike McDaniel?
Well, I love Mike McDaniel. I would love to see him come in as OC, but I don't think Mike McDaniel's the head coach.
Yeah.
I could get behind Mike McDaniel if given the chance to pick a quarterback and implement a new scheme. But kind of the tough part is you would have to go in a very different direction roster construction wise if you brought in a Mike McDaniel and they tried to do some of the similar things that they were doing down in Miami.
Right.
I don't think Mike would come here to be an offensive coordinator, but if you wanted, I know his OC right now is Bobby Slowick, who kind of had a falling out in Houston. If they kind of clear out there, I think that's kind of a hire you could maybe take a chance on if you're the Cardinals.
Right.
How about a Mike McCarthy?
Oh, yeah. That's a great question. How about a Bill Belichick?
Oh, I don't know about that. I think
thank you. Yeah.
I think Bill's days.
No, thank you.
Bill's days dealing with the young team. Those days are over.
Right.
Those days are over. That would be kind of rah. Let's get the fans excited. We can talk about his experience and his success. That's a marketing thing that the Cardinals might try to rely on. That's like bringing Buddy back.
Yeah.
How about John Gruden?
Oh, I'm even more out on that than Belichick. No,
Okay.
good God, no, thank you.
John Gruden's getting back in the NFL next year. That's a guarantee somewhere. Not as a head coach,
Right.
but he's coming back. He's coming back as an OC consultant. I mean, if Mike McCoy can get a job, John Gruden will get a job somewhere.
I don't know. John Gruden sued the NFL. I don't know how that's going to work out, but
well, I think that'll be
once his law. I think the lawsuit's still going on. Once the lawsuit is settled, I think he's got a chance to.
That's right. And I think that'll be part of the settlement.
Right. What about Clint Kubiak? No head coaching experience, but his dad was a hell of a head coach, so it's in his DNA. He's doing a tremendous job in Seattle.
Yes, he is.
And maybe you pair him with a Daniel Jones and draft a quarterback, something like that.
I don't think Daniel Jones is leaving the Colts.
Yeah.
I would have said like you go get like a Jones or something because obviously Clint Kubiak worked with him, but Mac Jones is 2-year contract, so I don't believe he's going to be leaving San Francisco unless they trade for him, which I don't think will happen.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
think they should?
The one other name I'd say, if you're going to go the young route, the one I really like is Joe Brady. And again, you'd have to pay and you'd have to convince, but try and see if you can pry Joe Brady away from that Buffalo situation if you can, which again, you've got to pay. You've got to play like one of these organizations if you want to move on from Gannon and Petzing and Rallis, which it's, again, trending in that direction because it looks like they're going to miss the playoffs. But if you go that route, how are you going to learn from these mistakes?
Correct.
How about it? And this is not going to happen because it's not going to work for the Cardinals. But how about the dream team of Brian Flores as head coach and Mike McDaniel as your OC?
I'd love it.
Yeah.
Sign me up for that.
Yeah.
I'd love it. Yeah. I mean, I think the days of hiring rookie head coaches to try to take on these juggernaut coaching staffs should be over. I mean, you can't, it's like Davy and Goliath. I mean, and unless you got a young guy who's really good calling plays, and then you can get the senior advisors in to supplement, and you get a really good coordinator opposite, on the defense, or if you hire a defensive guy on the offense, then maybe it will work. But there's no way. And Kyle, will you read that tweet I tweeted out last night after the game about been saying a while, the most inexperienced coaching staff being one of the most conservative, it just has no chance of winning.
Yes, I'm going to pull it up here so that people can see it.
Nice. Because to me, this is the gist, is that that was one. This was a different one. There it is.
Gotcha.
Go ahead. Want to read that out?
Yep. Let me zoom in so people can see it.
Right.
Not only do so many Cardinals quit on plays, they play super soft at the end of games. As said repeatedly on Red Rain, there's no way a team can win with by far the least experienced coaching staff in the NFL, but also easily one of the most conservative. And no one on the staff can coach the erratic, skittish, $230.5 million quarterback in his 7th season. The GM made these hires and QB commitment, plus has condoned the young staff for not hiring a single senior offensive or defensive advisor like all the NFC West teams have in spades, and the Rams, Niners, and Seahawks have what the Cardinals do not: head coaches who bring special qualities, in-game adjustment success, and superior schemes.
That's for me what it is in a nutshell. I mean, I don't know how Monty Austinfort looked at this as a winning formula in the NFC West. It's like the 14 years he spent in New England, he was like nodding off. I mean, I'm shocked at this. You come out of the New England Patriots when you have a blueprint of how to play championship football, and your first hire is to hire a guy with zero experience. Bob Kraft didn't do that. In fact, he paid a first-round draft pick to get Belichick in-house. Belichick already had head coaching experience. If you go down the list of what Bob Kraft did as running that team, and what Monty did when he came in, it's just mind-blowing. Like, didn't you learn a thing? About running championship caliber program? I mean, if you look back at the Patriots assistants, who was the most important assistant on that staff? Was Dante Scarnecchia.
Yeah.
He was our Clayton Adams.
Yes.
I mean, and they had the preemptive notion, we better get him signed before somebody wants to poach him. That we're not letting him out of the building. Whatever it takes. We'll hand him a blank check. Because his work on the offensive line was epic and so good and such a difference maker. So and he could do it with, like Clayton Adams did yesterday, with backups when needed, and keep Tom Brady, playing well still, and still have a running game. So, this is just a plan that I cannot fathom how in the world Monty Ossenfort thought this was a good idea and a way to win the NFC West. Which, by the way, I mean, you look at Kyler's records in the NFC West, horrible.
Horrible.
Just brutal. I mean, he hasn't beaten the Seahawks in like 4 years.
Right.
And if you can't beat the Seahawks, what does that tell you? I mean, so anyway, the plan has to be better, and it's got to come from somebody who has a better plan. One of the guys that I have my eye on a little bit is the young coordinator from the Eagles. Young assistant GM for the Eagles. He's an interesting young guy, but again, doesn't have the experience, but he has the experience of working for 14 years under two of the greatest minds in my mind in the NFL, in Jeffrey Lurie and in who's Howie Roseman.
Howie Roseman, yeah, the GM. You talking about Kellen Moore?
No, let me just pull this up.
Kellen Moore's working for you.
Yeah, Eagles assistant GM. They really love over there. Alec Hallaby.
Oh yeah,
is his name. He enters his 16th year with the Eagles. He holds, and he's what he does. His role is assistant general manager, and he's in charge of player evaluation, roster management, resource allocation, integrating analytical methods. I think he was one of the. This is an interesting tie, I think, to some of the Eagles coaches and players. Yeah, I mean, I just think this guy could be pretty good.
Going back to the Patriots,
yeah,
they don't have a GM right now. They have executive VP of player personnel in Elliot Wolf. He's the de facto general manager.
Yes.
If they don't make him GM, Elliot Wolf would be a terrific GM.
Right.
And he's got
and Monty. Yeah. So yes.
My biggest concern about Monty failing here is that he's the first outside the building GM that Bidwill has hired. All the previous GMs were all cards guys who came up through the ranks in the Cardinal office, who were basically yes men for the Bidwills.
Correct.
I'm afraid Mike's going to go back to that. He said, okay, I tried an outsider. It didn't work either. I'm picking one of my yes men, and I'm going to get more involved in screwing up this team.
Well, we do have an in-house guy who I like a lot in Dave Sears. I think as a talent evaluator, he's the best guy on the staff. I think he's been, I just think he's got the goods. Plus his background from the Detroit, I think is very attractive. So, I don't know if Bidwill he needs to win. Bidwill needs to win. He's losing big time money. That stadium has tons of empty seats now, and it's not selling out like it was. And I was picking up on that in preseason. I thought at the red-white game they were staging some certain things to try to get people to buy tickets because look at the upper deck; they're like half filled at most. So, and that Casa Rosa is a Casa Nada, Nada. I mean, that's silly. I mean, it's just
Sears would be a good GM hire. He's seen the problems. He knows the problems. He from an insider role. He would, and he's got enough experience. He deserves a shot at GM.
Right.
I'll tell you what needs to happen is this. Mike Bidwell needs to take Calais Campbell to lunch during the bye and say, what the hell's going on here?
Right.
What's going on with my coaching staff? What's the problem?
Right.
And let Calais Campbell tell him what he thinks of this coaching staff.
Right.
And I'll bet you it's not much, especially by the time they hit their bye.
Right.
I see this team in the lottery next year.
Me too.
I can't see. I mean, I don't think they're going to win their next two games. Like I said earlier, if they coach even a competitive game against the Colts,
right?
Let's say they lose to the Colts by another game-ending field goal. That's a win for the Cardinals after this week. That really is. I think they're going to get rocked next week. We'll see.
Yeah, I do too.
And the Colts are a really good football team.
I watched their whole game yesterday.
Really good.
They're complete. They have very few flaws. And
Right.
Daniel Jones, quarterback envy. I mean, the whole broadcast, all the announcers are talking about is how he's remade as a Colt, and he is. And I agree with you. I think it would be foolish of the Colts not to stick with him and re-sign him to a big deal, particularly since they're I think on the outs with Anthony Richardson.
Jones made a lot of money with the Giants, so he's going to get
not premium, right?
Yeah, he's going to get another nice contract with the coach who has groomed him, who has improved him, who's given him an NFL starting quarterback future. He's on a winning franchise, and listen, that franchise doesn't have very good ownership either. In fact, I see that team getting sold in the next year because they're going to be worth a lot of money. And I think the family is probably going to sell that team for a lot of money. And they're smart, unlike Bidwell, who for some reason sticks around and does something he doesn't like and isn't very good at. Instead of taking $4 or $5 billion for this franchise, he's going to stick around, and I don't know what he's doing with it. I mean, I really don't know what. I don't know. I don't know. I was thinking Arch Manning isn't coming out of college this year, and that's probably a good thing. But if he does come out of college, and he won't be the first quarterback drafted, but maybe, Cardinals drafting third or fourth will draft him so the Mannings can step in, buy a piece of the Cardinals like Brady did in Las Vegas, and show this idiot how to run a football team.
Next year,
Arch Manning will be going in the third or fourth round in whatever draft
he's not leaving Texas unless they want to change a quarterback,
right?
And he'll hit the portal, but I don't think he's going pro next year.
He's not ready, but
no, I don't
at least get them. And I'm not suggesting I want him, but if we could, the silver lining would be the Mannings coming in and running this franchise.
Wow. That could be interesting.
Somebody's got to run the franchise.
You don't even have to draft their nephew if you're willing to give him the 70% discount that Tom Brady got. Somebody will take it.
The new GM motivating Manning, Peyton Manning. Oh, that would be such a delight.
I look, it's silly, obviously, and we're having fun, but like if you're gonna be a sideshow operation, just lean all the way into it.
That's right.
Like the Raiders are doing right now. The
That's
Raiders have sucked
Yeah.
for 25 years. Just lean all the way into being a
That's right.
sideshow.
Let's
That's right.
do it. Yeah, next week, next home, we're gonna have a section called Casa Loco.
Casa Loco is right.
It's gonna be filled with rodeo clowns.
There you go.
And they're gonna have horns and tutors. They're just gonna try to be a sideshow and heckle the hell out of the Packers. So anyway, let's wrap this up. We've gotten a lot, done today. There's so much more to do, and it's interesting to like take a peek ahead. But there's a lot of football left, obviously. And I'm also on Sam's page. That be interested to see what team shows up in Indianapolis next week. A pissed off team that really wants to get after it, or a team that's basically demoralized and
It's lost confidence in its coaching staff.
lost confidence. Exactly. So, Kyle, wrap up. What do you got?
Kind of that same point, right? Is because the problem with the Colts and the Packers now is that these are very talented teams that even if you play your best football, you can still lose to the Colts and the Packers.
Right.
So if this thing does start to go south, you're 2-5, bye week. I'm not saying they would make the move now, but certainly there are people who are calling for some change or some sort of firing. So these 2 weeks are kind of that window of time before, your best chance to try and make changes. And I'm not even saying fire Gannon. I'm saying if they fire Petzing or fire an assistant coach, something like that, or make a trade, bye week is the time to do that. And if they're 2-5 and the 49ers are 6-1 or the Rams are 6-1 and you're basically out of the division at that point, you kind of now, because you've tricked off the last 2 or 3 games, you now have to prove that you are worthy of continuing this experiment because you've now blown the Niners game, which they controlled. You've blown this game against the Titans. And then obviously you blew the Seahawks game, which in fairness, they got kind of beat by the Seahawks, but they had a chance to win it at the end. So, because you've now lost these games, you now have to prove yourself leading up into the bye week if you're going to get the full season, which I think Gannon's going to get longer than 2 more weeks for sure. But that doesn't mean everyone on the coaching staff is going to get longer than 2 more weeks.
Right.
If they lose the next 2 games, they'll be 2-5. Historically, teams 2-5 have a 6% chance of making the playoffs.
Right. Yeah, I think this team's pretty much toast. Looking at the schedule, looking at the lack of poise from the quarterback, he hasn't grown. And all the hue and cry about Petzing, and I thought Petzing was calling a great game in the first half and early third. Yeah, they put guys in motions and they did some really good things, but I don't know what happens, and I don't know what Petzing was told by Gannon, or not. But I know what happens to Kyler Murray in close games like this is he tends to go into a shell, and more often than not, unfortunately.
Again, 8-37, trailing in the 4th. Our quarterback.
Yeah. There you go. And a lot of those games were games we were favored in.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not like we're perpetual underdogs. I mean, the line on this game we were favored in. Big time. 6.5.
After a mini bye, this is what we got.
Right. After a mini bye, this is what we get.
Yeah. We played
10
halves of football. We've seen 5 halves of offense.
Yeah. Yep. So, what gives me hope is that this is a good signal to take the next leap with a new quarterback, with a new GM and a new coaching staff. I know it's, repetitive after 3 years, but let's just be honest. This is not going to work in the NFC West.
Yeah,
It's just not. And I don't know if it's going to work in any division. And it doesn't seem like there are any answers in-house, and you don't have advisors to help you out either. I mean, the repetitiveness, it's the exact same script over and over and over and over again. And it's clear that it's, high caution on both ends of the football. And you can't play that way and win. We've seen it. You've got to, on 3rd and 8, you got to pass the ball. The ball's in your hands. You got to make a completion. And then you win the game. You got to, while it's in your hands, you got to try to win the game. I don't blame the fans at State Farm yesterday for booing that. That was just so awful. That was another 3rd and give up. And that's what this offense has been in second halves. And oftentimes it was that way in the whole first half of the Seahawks game. It was embarrassing. It was just a 3rd and give up, 3rd and give up. And those are the things that an inexperienced staff and a skittish quarterback are going to give you during. And Gannon said yesterday, no, well, we have good stretches during games. Well, what the frick is that? I mean, if you can't sustain focus and tension stretches, you got to play 60 minutes. Obviously these stretches aren't winning you ball games, and the stretches down the end are just giveaways. So not working there. But
he's just stretching for a positive. That's what he's doing there.
Right.
Stretching for a positive.
So, yeah, and at this point, we need more than positives. You need to finish. And this since they've arrived, this coaching staff has had a really hard time coaching the players how to finish. And what's their record now? 14-25. Not good. But you can't fault them for tanking. Oh, yes, you can. Oh, yes, you can. Look at the teams that didn't tank. How about the Commanders? Look at that. I mean, once they, well, actually, that's not their best example because they were able to draft Jaden Daniels. But there are other teams that I mean,
Broncos, Sean Payton and the Broncos.
Sean Payton, perfect. Did they tank? Payton came in wanting to win games. I think that's the way you have to play with professionals and have self-respect and be respected by your players. So, the next staff's got to have that and a little bit of gravitas and a lot of experience so that in-game adjustments can take place. So, thanks to all of you for joining us once again. We're really excited that, our fan base is growing and, trying to bring you honest insights and the plays each week. Let us know if there's something more you want us to do. Let us know if you like what you're seeing, if you have suggestions about what we can do to improve. And this week, as always, may the red rain shower down on you into the red Sea. Red rain.